Good morning. I'm Brent Campbell, and though I'm not exactly what one would call a morning person, it's the best time to get on the road before anybody else does. So here we are at sunrise on a Saturday morning on one of the great curvy roads that I know of. I've been shooting videos and sharing them on YouTube for almost a year now, and it's been a lot of fun to get to meet people who are like-minded, for whatever reason got bit by the car bug at an early age and just love this stuff, and I just happen to love cars. And as luck would have it, I got to acquire my dream car, an E46 BMW M3, about 5 years ago. Bought it from my brother, which is about the best situation a guy could ask for, because my brother is even more particular and more thorough in taking care of things than I am, which is saying something. He's amazing. So anyway, I was able to buy his car, and I guess one of the things that I felt compelled to do was to share my experiences with having both this car as well as the E46 M3 that he sold me a year ago. And with a little bit of time to reflect on having both of the cars, I thought it might be kind of fun to talk about some of the things that I love about this car. I've already done a video about the things that I love about the M3, although I think it's due for an update because that was a while back and my perspective has certainly changed. Needless to say, I put together a list of my 5 loves and my 5 surprises of having both cars. And I wrote this list out something like 6 months ago. And I would say my point of view has evolved a little bit since then, but it might be fun to kind of revisit it. And as it happens, I wrote these things down, and with my videos, I tend to do them completely unscripted, and so I get tongue-tied, and I don't even know if I make that much sense half the time, but it's my excitement over driving these cars, and usually I'm doing my commentary while I'm driving, so it's kind of hard to, walk and chew gum at the same time, as they say. So anyway, I figured that I would read over what I wrote and then add a little bit of commentary on top of it. So, E46 M3 loves. Number 1, the steering and the way it feels in my hands and tells me everything I need to know about the road I'm driving. Okay, so the steering wheel. The M3 is not my daily driver. It is the car that I want to be driving all the time, but I have a family and passengers don't like to be in this car. So when I get to drive this car, and sometimes it may have been a few days or even a week since I get to drive it, every time I get behind the wheel of this car, I am mesmerized. It is so it feels like, it fits me like a glove. The steering on it has everything to do with why that is. It's tight, it's supple, it communicates every little thing that you need to know about the road, and not too much. It's a little bit of a rough ride, but it actually does protect you from quite a bit. But still, it's not for everybody, but if you're a driver, it's the best steering that you'll ever experience, at least that I've ever experienced, but I haven't driven many Porsches or Ferraris, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Number 2, not much of a surprise here, is the engine. Oh, the engine, the way it sounds at idle, the way it sounds when it picks up in the mid-3s, the way it sounds at full blast, all 333 horsepower at 7,900 RPM. And then of course there's the afterburner like thrust that it throws, which enables me to do all kinds of fun things. I could tell you that it's the most powerful non-turbo straight six that BMW will ever put into a production car, but that would be just too boring. Just listen to it. And even at idle, it sounds unbelievably good. When you get it, like I was saying, above 3,000 RPM, it starts to come alive. It stops sounding like a classic BMW straight six, and it starts sounding like something completely modern, something completely different. People have called it metallic. I don't know how to explain it, but watch my videos and you will hear it. It's a magical sound. It's especially when you get into the higher RPMs, you could swear it's a Ferrari. And then of course the thrust that it has, that a little car like this has that kind of a power plant. You know, the newer ones, they actually do have more power. They have considerably more power. I got to drive my brother's M4, which is, if this is the 3rd generation M3, his is effectively the 5th generation M3. So handsome. The difference now is that they have turbos, and the power comes on immediately, and it is intense. The power delivery is plenty intense on this. I never, ever have found myself thinking, gosh, if only I had a little bit more power right now. No, that never comes into my mind. You know, there are a lot of people out there who will insist that a turbo destroys an engine, certainly takes away the sound. The sound that this engine makes is special, and you can't get that out of a turbo. So, you know, for what that's worth, I don't know if one's better than another, but I just like this one. Number 3, the way it feels as though it's there for you, the driver. This is the ultimate driving machine. When anybody asks me to describe this car, I'll try to sum it up as quickly as I can, because I tend to get a little bit wordy because I'm just so nuts about this car. But of all the cars that I have driven in my life, and I have been fortunate to drive quite a few of them, this is the most balanced car I've ever driven. It has the power, it has the handling, the brakes are somewhat limited, but that's not really a problem for me. It just feels right in your hands, with your feet when you're driving it. Everything is as it should be. And number 4, in a lot of respects, this is a continuation of number 3. It's singularity of purpose. The car was designed to go fast, efficiently, unapologetically, uncompromisingly. Everything is executed to perform, and nothing is there that doesn't need to be. It's hard not to respect that. And number 5, you know, this is the thing that most people know about the car. It's pretty obvious. Number 5, the way it looks. Many will argue that the pre-Bangle era, you've heard about Chris Bangle and the Bangle Butt and the 7 Series that came out in 2000. I forget which number that is. The styling wasn't so great in the Bangle era. Anyway, many will argue that the pre-Bangle era was the peak of BMW design. At least in the case of the E46 3 Series, and even more so with the M3. Still more will argue that these were the most beautiful BMWs ever made. Since I was talking about the design of the car, I figured might as well get a little bit of footage of the car itself and how great it looks even today, how modern it is, and the classic design that they have on these things. I've wanted the car for 12 years, and I've had it for nearly 4, actually 5. And every time I park it, I can't walk away and not look back at it feeling all right with the world. They just got everything right with this one. Okay, now on to the 5 surprises of having the car. E46 M3 surprises I have here. Number one, with all of this performance capability, I really can't tap into it unless I'm on a track, and that's been disappointing. I feel like I'm letting the car down until I can afford another budget for track fees, tires, brakes, and all the sorts of maintenance issues that come with driving a car at full tilt 4 hours at a time. Now, as it happens, since I wrote this, I have taken it to a track, and it was incredible. It was interesting how there's the New Jersey Motorsports Park, and I actually have a video on YouTube from it. It's not very good because you just don't get any sense for what the action is like on the track. It was very exciting, and it's something that I highly recommend, and it's made a huge difference in my driving ability as well as my comfort behind the wheel. But it wasn't as damaging to the car as I thought it would be. Certainly I'll need to replace the tires eventually, but these tires aren't supposed to last more than 4 or 5 years anyway, so they're due for replacement. The brakes are not especially strong, but the motor is fantastic. The suspension is even better, and it's certainly what I would think is the ideal track car. The event that I went to was organized by the Porsche Club of America, and with a handful of exceptions, the cars there were either Porsches or BMWs. The most popular car on the Porsche side there was the Cayman, which makes sense. It's a very well balanced car. It's not especially expensive, although I suppose it's all relative. And then there were all these BMWs, all M BMWs, mostly M3s. There were all 5 generations are represented, but by far the most popular choice was the E46 for what I think are obvious reasons. Did get a kick out of the fact that there was only one 4-door at the event, and it was a black E60 BMW M5, which is my daily driver. I don't know that I would track that car, but getting passed by it a few times on the track made me think maybe I should. Okay, so number 2. It's seemingly simple and has proven reliable. Incredible when you consider what it took to get over 100 horsepower per liter. Over 100 horsepower per liter out of that engine. And it even gets good gas mileage. Every time I deal with an issue, I'm amazed and think to myself, those clever engineers. Yeah, so from a reliability standpoint, this is it's a Honda with a crazy amount of power, an ideal suspension, and it looks amazing. I'm shocked at how reliable it is. My wife has a 4-cylinder Mazda minivan, and this car actually gets better gas mileage. I don't know how they did it, but they did, and you certainly don't hear me complaining. Number 3 on my list of E46 M3 surprises. Passengers, unless also car freaks, hate riding in it. I don't understand this because I think it's amazing, yet most folks don't care what it can do and simply get tired of being jostled around when we hit a bump. So yeah, it's a rough ride. I was watching the video footage that I shot earlier, and the camera was being bounced around a bunch. It's not pleasant to be a passenger in this car unless you like fast cars. And anytime I've ever taken a passenger who likes cars, they're amazed by the car. But unless you get it, you just think it's silly. Number 4 on my list of surprises. Nobody knows what it is except for car nuts like me, which I think is cool and enables me to meet all sorts of like-minded people. And I genuinely enjoy speaking with these people. It's been a happy gateway into all sorts of interesting experiences, and I never saw that coming. It made it easy for me to go to events like Caffeine and Carburetors, or to go to the track. And I've gotten to meet all kinds of interesting folks. When people notice what it is, it makes me think that they are I'm not necessarily looking at it as being a fancy car or an expensive car or as a status symbol or anything like that, because that's not what these cars are about for me. It's really just about the joy of driving and the thrill that comes with driving this particular car. It is awesome. So I don't care if nobody knows what it is. I don't care if people notice me in it. As far as most people are concerned, it's an older BMW that happens to be really shiny. And that's all they notice about it. And number 5 on my list of E46 M3 surprises. It enables me to walk through life satisfied that for all my problems, at least I've got the car problem handled. Just as before I met my wife, I always felt like something was missing, that I wanted to have, a partner in life. Before I got this car, I always felt like something was missing. And I know it's just stuff, and stuff can't make you happy, but you can see the smile on my face. And I'm 4 or 5, for whatever reason, I can't seem to remember exactly what year I acquired the car. Whether it's 4 years or 5 years in, I'm still enamored with it, and I don't see that ever waning. Anyway, those are the 5 loves and the 5 surprises of having the car. So I keep talking about how this engine sounds so good. I figure we should let it go.